Going live. Is it there? Okay. Shoot. Thank you. Okay. Hariam Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha. Continuing Bhagavad-gita study, chapter 9. Today's verses will be verse 20 through 25. So previously we heard about the different types of devotees and the result. So those who perform pure devotion to Krishna, Ananya Bhakti, they get the best result, they go to Krishna. 9. Yeah. Verse 20 through 25. Then those who do mixed bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, then they can get up to the Vaishnava liberations. The Vaishnava liberations mean 4 types. Salokya Mukti, Sarupya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, and Sharshti. You know these 4 types? You've heard them before, right? Salokya Mukti means living on the same planet as the Lord. Sarupya Mukti means having the same planet as the Lord. Samipya Mukti means having like association with the Lord. Sharshti means having the same opulence as the Lord. So those who do this Yoga Mishra Bhakti, they can get up to one of these 4 types of Vaishnava liberations. That is very nice. So then we heard in the last passage, verses 15 through 20 of this chapter, we heard about persons who are of inferior type to these pure mixed devotees. Those who are of inferior type, they can get up to liberation into Brahman. That is called Sayuja Mukti. They don't worship God by pure bhakti or mixed bhakti, but they perform what is called the Jnana Yajna. That's what we heard in the last passage. And by this Jnana Yajna, of course, there's some elements of bhakti in that. We say like that. But they worship the Supreme Lord by this Jnana Yajna, either thinking themselves as the Lord or thinking various devatas they may be worshiping also as the Supreme Lord, or as thinking of nature as God. So although they worship themselves or various devatas or nature, they meditate that this is actually Brahman, or this is actually a manifestation of God, basically. So because that is their meditation, then at the end of their life, they can get Sayuja Mukti. So that means merging into Brahman. Because you understand? So that's the hierarchy that's been discussed. So now in verses 9, 20 through 25, Krishna mentions about those who just follow the path of karma. And they don't get any type of mukti, they just get repeated birth and death. You understand? So they also worship demigods, but they don't think of the demigods as Brahman or as bhutis of Paramatma. They just think of them as deities to be worshipped on the path of karma. So those who worship on the path of karma, they get repeated birth and death. That is the basic message of this passage. It's very straightforward. You understand? What is the message of the passage? Well, I was doing this to them all in the 11 o'clock class. I would say something and then immediately I would ask what I just said. Hardly anyone was able to answer. That's how dire the situation is. Kali Yuga. What did I just say? Just now, last sentence. Something about repeated birth and death. Very good, very good. If you do pure bhakti, then you can get Krishna. If you do mixed bhakti, you can get Vaishnava Mukti. How many types? 4. If you do Jnana Yajna, then you can get Sayuja Mukti, merging into Brahman. So then there are persons who perform the path of karma. following Vedas for getting material enjoyment, so they get repeated birth and death. So that is what this passage is talking about, 9:20 through 25. All right. Trividya mam somapaputa papa yagna ishtva swargatam pratayante. Te punyam asade surindra lokam ashnanti divyam divideva bhogam. So those who study the Vedas, Trividya. Trividya means the three Vedas. So it refers to the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and the Samaveda. So these Vedas, they have 4 parts to them. I think I mentioned this in Ishopanishad class also. Each Veda has 4 parts to them. And the first 3 parts deal with material enjoyment primarily, like the Vedic ritual for obtaining material enjoyment. And the last part deals with like spiritual philosophy called as Upanishads. You understand? And so each Veda has 4 divisions. Divisions are called as Brahmanas, Samhitas, Aranyakas, and then the last part is called Upanishad. So these first 3 parts, they deal with the Vedic ritual for worshipping devas for material enjoyment. The last part of Upanishad deals with spiritual philosophy for Upanishad, how to get mukti. That is called as Vedanta. So we are followers of Vedanta, the spiritual portion. But most of the Vedas is this material part, people learning to do the Vedic ritual for getting the material enjoyment. So Trividya means the 3 Vedas, and specifically those portions that deal with the Vedic ritual for getting material enjoyment. So people either study and know those 3 Vedas, or they're absorbed in those portions of the Vedas, understand? That deal with the material enjoyment. Why are they absorbed in those portions of the Vedas?
For the self-gratification.
Yeah. Why are they absorbed in that?
Because that's what they want.
Yes. They want material gratification. So they're absorbed in those Vedas which tell them how to do that. So this is called Trividya Man Soma Paputa Papa Yagna Ishtra. So Ishtra means to worship. So they worship me. But they worship me in the form of these various devatas. So these devatas are called as vibhutis of Paramatma. We'll later on hear about the vibhutis of Paramatma in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. So the vibhuti means like the expanded glory of God, like a small, glorious aspect of God. It's called the vibhuti. So Krishna will say of fish, I'm the shark. Actually says makara, but whatever. Shark is translated like that. Of mountains, I'm Himalayas. Like this. I'm the taste and water. I'm the ability of man. So all these things are called as vibhutis, like an indicator of the glory of God. A small, tiny, insignificant indicator of God's own glory. It's called as a vibhuti. You understand? One time, the disciples were on a walk with Prabhupada, and someone was like glorifying the sunset or maybe the sunrise in the morning walk. And they said, oh, how beautiful is sunrise. And Prabhupada said, if you think that is beautiful, then wait till you see the artist who has created that. Krishna, he is very beautiful. So that sunrise is like a vibhuti, something that brings awe and reverence. It is a small indicator of God's own glory. Or you hear someone's like a very powerful orator, like Martin Luther King Jr. I don't know, have you ever heard him give a speech? Very powerful, actually. So that ability to, what was the word? Orate? Is that even a word? I'm making stuff up. It's a word, orate? Really? That sounds bogus, though. It's not. Okay. So that ability, bhuti, is a small indicator of God's own glory. Or sometimes, like when I was in school, certain demographic of people, we're not going to say, they were very expert at putting people down, slandering. We're not going to say what demographic it is, but we all know. They were very good at, they were very like, just like a natural talent for just like cutting people down. That is also like a vibhuti. Just like to be so expert at jesting like that and cutting jokes. Some of my Christian friends, they're very good at that. That is also, so these are all examples of vibhutis. Understand? So these devatas are also vibhutis of the Lord. They're like small portions of God's own glory. So here it says people who are absorbed in three portions of the Vedas, so they worship Krishna in the form of these devatas. So they don't worship Krishna directly, but these devatas are vibhutis of the Lord. So they are not different from the Lord. So they are also worshiping the Lord, but they're doing so indirectly. They worship his vibhuti, not knowing that that is the vibhuti of the Lord, and not therefore not seeing the Lord in those deities. You understand? They perform worship. Soma puta papa, they drink soma juice. I don't exactly know what that is. I thought that was a celestial drink in Swargaloka, but this is before they go to Swargaloka. So there must be some portion of the Vedic yagya that was called a soma. Like some drink is produced from the yagya itself. I don't know. So we didn't grow up with Vedic rites and all these things. So some of this is a little foreign, especially for us Westerners. We were part of outcast culture. They wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole. The Vedic culture was there. So this soma juice must be something separate. It's not. I thought it was always in Swargaloka. They're intoxicated by soma rasa. But here, this is before going to Swargaloka, so it cannot be referring to that. In any case, they drink this soma juice, puta papa, and they're purified of sins by doing so, drinking this prasadam that comes from the various yagya that's being performed. Swargatam partayante, and they're praying to go Swargaloka. They want to go to heaven. Just like nowadays, even the religions of the world, the Christianity and Islam and Judaism, most religions and most of the Hindus also, they do religion so they can go to heaven. They want to go to heaven to enjoy. Of course, in Middle Eastern traditions, they say that the heaven is like their spiritual world, but their description of spiritual world sounds a lot like Swargaloka, actually. So their understanding is that also is the same. They are performing religion for going to heaven. Swargatam prarthayante means they pray for this thing. So they're absorbing the Vedas, they're worshiping the vibhutis of the Lord in the form of these various devatas, and they're praying for Swargaloka. So what do they get? Te punya, by their piety, asadu surindra lokam. They get to go to the planet of Indra. So they get to go to heaven. Ashnanti devyan, divya deva bhogan. And then they enjoy. Understand? They enjoy in heaven. Divideva Bhoga. They enjoy nicely in heaven. Understand? So what happens after that? There's the next verse. Te tam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam kshinye punye martya lokam vishanti. So having enjoyed in heaven for a long time. Te tam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam. So that means after they're in heaven for a long time, they're enjoying nicely. But the way the material world works is when you enjoy, that means some piety is being exhausted. And when you suffer, some bad karma is being exhausted. Understand? So you may be enjoying that. This is silly, but suppose you get like a cheesecake in front of you. You're like, I'm about to enjoy this, but you're like, wait, I want to exhaust that pious karma I got. So if you enjoy that cheesecake, that means some pious karma is being exhausted. You understand? So I don't think it really works like this, but it'd be interesting if you could think like that. You're about to like put it, you're like, wait, I don't want to exhaust that piety. Maybe it could be used for something later on. I don't think it actually works like that, but it's amusing to think of it like that. So if you enjoy in this world, that means some piety is being exhausted. Just like you may be in some suffering condition. And you see, like New York, living in New York is itself a suffering condition. Especially if you live in Manhattan itself, all the apartments are prison cells only. I think in the future they will be converted to legitimate prison cells. Right now they just call them as apartments. In the future they will call it by its proper name, prison cell. So to live in the city is itself hellish actually. So much noise. The apartment's so small you have to turn sideways to walk through some of the hallways. When we were apartment shopping, when I first came to New York, we went to one garden apartment and I had to literally duck to get inside the thing. And then they took us into the bathroom and my head was touching the ceiling of the bathroom. And it was just like one tunnel. Like And so the shower was like on one end of the tunnel, and the toilet was like just a little bit, and it was like in Williamsburg, in like a very nice area of Williamsburg. And so that because of the nice location, they were charging a lot of money. They said starting price was like $2,800 a month or three. I was like, I'm like, my head is touching the ceiling of the back, but it is a hellish condition. So, but you want to live in Williamsburg, so you accept. Okay, I'll pay the $2,800 and so on. So so within that suffering condition, you get a little bit of enjoyment. Sometimes you have a nice exchange with a friend, or you eat some nice food, or you watch some nice TV show, and you forget that you live in such a horrible place. And you think this is very nice, I'm enjoying. So then when you enjoy, that means that piety getting exhausted. It's actually piety getting exhausted. Even with those simple enjoyments, piety is being exhausted. And when you suffer, that means some bad karma is being exhausted. So these pious people, they went to Swargaloka because of their piety. Tetam bhukta Swargalokam vishalam. And they enjoyed for a long time in Swargaloka. So what does that mean? What is Yes. So because they enjoyed for a long time, kshinye punye. Kshinye punye means their piety becomes exhausted by all that enjoyment. Martya lokan vishanti, he already gave the answer. Because of that, they fall back down to the earth planet. Evam trai dharma anuprapadam. So thus, by following this trai dharma, this three Vedas dealing with the material enjoyment, by following this anuprapana, what do they get? What is the result they get from following all of this? Answer is coming. Gata agatam kama kama labante. They get repeated birth and death. That's all they obtain. They go up, enjoy, come down. It's like a merry-go-round. I joke like this many times before. You go up, you hear Earth planet, this is Earth planet, and then you go, and then you exhaust your pride, and then you do some more pious activity, and then you exhaust, then you do some simple activity, and then you suffer like anything, and then and then finally you suffer so much, you finally get a human birth, but then you took birth in Kali Yuga, everyone's doing simple activity, and back down you go. It is like this. The material world is called samsara chakra. Chakra means a will. So it's like this. By pious you go up, and piety you go down. So that's all you get from your pious activity. This is why we were hearing this earlier today about karma, akarma and vikarma, right? What is karma? Bolo, abai. What is karma? Yes. And what is vikarma? They all create bondage. Well, only two of them create. What is vikarma? You're working on questionnaire. Yeah, it's not sinful activities. Non-pious is like a politically correct way of saying it. They do sin. And then piety is sin. So both bind you. So this is what Krishna is saying. They are pious persons. They go up there and enjoy nicely, but they're still bound in the material world. You understand? So that means by following the path of karma, you get repeated birth and death. So the Ananya Bhakta gets Krishna. The mixed bhaktas get this Vaishnava Mukti. The Gyan Yogis who do Gyan Yagya, they get Sayuja Mukti. And those who follow the path of karma, they get repeated birth and death. So in this way, by juxtaposing these processes and their results next to one another, Krishna in this way is inspiring us to take up the path of minimally that leads to liberation, and ultimately the path that leads to him. You understand? So then this 22nd verse is a very famous verse. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogashima vahamyaham. So, but those who always worship me, yejana paryupasate, with exclusive devotion, ananyas chintayanto mam, meditating on my transcendental form, To them, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. It's a very famous verse. The idea of this verse, at least according to one of our acharyas, Krishna wants to say that the enjoyment that is given by that the enjoyment that a devotee experiences is given by Krishna himself. Because devotees are beyond the realm of karma. By doing bhakti yoga, you become naishkarmya. We also heard that word today in Ishopanishad class, isn't it? Naishkarmya or akarma. We heard this word akarma. What is akarma? Ablai, bolo. Yeah, you're gonna be the hot target for about a week. You have to train how to hear. So in this way, if you know you can be called on any second, then you pay a little bit more attention. What is akarma? All right, go.
Karma is the activity which doesn't create bondage.
Yes.
Like devotees.
Yes. So that is also called as naishkarmya. So naishkarmya means beyond the realm of karma. So devotees, they're not, whatever enjoyment or suffering that's coming in their life is not coming due to the world of karma. That is explanation. So that means it is given directly by Krishna. So in previous past 2 verses, we heard that the enjoyment that these pious people get is coming from their piety, right? They do pious life, they go up and they enjoy. That enjoyment is coming from their piety, right? If you're in the world of karma, you enjoy because of what? Why you enjoy in this world? Yeah, because of some piety. You've done something pious. And why you suffer? Because of impious activities. So are you suffering most of the time or enjoying most of the time? Suffering? What does that mean? What does that tell us about you? Yes. So most of us are suffering a lot because we've done impious activities. And this life and the previous life also. So the devotee, he's enjoying, but that enjoyment is not coming because of karma. It's not coming because of piety. It's coming because Krishna himself is giving that enjoyment to his devotee, because he's beyond the world of karma. So that is explained in this particular verse. Yejana paripasate mam. So the devotee who worships me, ananya chintayanto, what is his mind exclusively fixed on me. Tesha nitya abhiyuktanam. They are nitya abhiyuktanam. That means they're always fixed in devotion. How Prabhupada translated it. It means their minds are just either it's fixed on Krishna without awareness of other things. And they're not looking at the YouTube, finding out what's the latest thing in politics and so on. They're just fixed on Krishna exclusively. Or their minds are fixed on Krishna with a desire to have a particular loving relationship with Krishna. Acharyas give different meanings of this word. So yoga kshema vahamyaham. So Krishna yoga kshema. Way Prabhupada translates is that he gives them what they require, yoga. So they require some money. Oh, I couldn't see what happened. So I thought you may like crush a roach or something in your hand. The way it looked from my angle, it's like you went like that. I was like, oh man, poor living entity just got crushed by Abhinav. Okay. So yoga means Krishna he will give wealth to his devotee if they require. Whatever they require, Krishna will give it. And kshemam, and he will preserve that. He will preserve that. Yoga kshema vahamya. So that means whatever the devotee needs, he's leaving that up to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is giving and maintaining his devotee. You understand? Vahami. Vahami means that he carries it. Personally, he's carrying the burden. It is not that this Krishna does this. Like previous passage, we heard how Krishna is maintaining the universe, right? Through his various shaktis. So that means he just does that. By his shaktis, he is doing everything. Maya adyakshena pakriti suyate sacharacharam. Simply by my glands, everything is going on in this creation, maintenance, destruction. But that is not what Krishna is saying here in relationship to his devotees. What is devotees? He's not saying, I just do this. He's saying, Bahami, I carry. I'm personally carrying that burden. Just like a man, he personally carries the burden of taking care of the family. He feels that this is his responsibility. It is my burden to bear. He personally takes charge in taking care of the family, isn't it? In the same, yes. Well, we don't know, but we've seen. Or maybe not all of us, but But we know theoretically, we've seen on television how certain men take the responsibility. They take care of their family. So just as a householder will bear the burden of taking care of his family, no matter how difficult, in the same way Krishna carries the burden of taking care of his devotees. That is the meaning of the word Bahami here. He's personally involved in giving his happiness to his devotees because he's attached to them. So a question is coming. Supreme Lord is Atmarama. Atmarama means he is a self-satisfied person. So why does he have to carry the burden of his devotees? That doesn't make sense. A self-satisfied person doesn't feel the need to do anything. That is the meaning of self-satisfaction. If you're self-satisfied, you can be happy with sitting down in one spot and just drinking water. I'm usually like that. And I'm satisfied. I just read that in Bhagavad-gita the other day. Very nice verse. And when you're not satisfied, then no matter what you get, you'll be disturbed. There'll be some disturbance. But if you're a self-satisfied person, simply by sitting going like this, then you'll feel satisfaction. So Krishna is this Atmarama to the Supreme, because he is the Supreme. So why he is feeling the need to personally carry the burden of his devotees, especially when he has so much power, he can just, his powers can do that also. Why he has to personally get involved. So our acharyas bring this up. I'll just share one verse. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, chapter 4. You know this story, Ambarish Maharaj. You've heard this story, Ambarish Maharaj, you know. And Devas Muni, Ambarish Maharaj was fasting for Ekadashi. The break time for the fast came, and right at that moment, Devas Muni appears. Devas Muni was a great yogi. So he appeared right at the time for breaking the fast. So everyone knew Devas Muni had a bad temper. Very bad. He was easily pleased, but he was also very easily angered. And it was famous throughout the whole world how quickly he could get angry and curse you and kill you even. Like he was on that level, as we say today, extra. So it came time to break fast. So immediately Ambarish went to serve it, but he said, before I take anything, I want to go take bath. Like making everything like very complicated. So he goes to take bath in, I think, Jamuna. So by the time he come back, the time for breaking fast would have passed. So Ambarish Maharaj was in great difficulty because he had been fasting for 1 year. He wanted to break the fast at the proper time. So he went to all his ministers, what to do. They also were confused. Everyone was scared. They knew Devas Muni had bad anger. So he finally concluded, I'll just take a little, like basically water, Chandamrit, which is considered like breaking and not breaking the fast at the same time. So he took a little bit of Chandamrit. Devas Muni way over the Jamuna River, but by his mystic powers, he could understand that Ambarish Maharaj had taken something. Yeah. So he became angry. So he comes back to the arena. He's like, what type of devotee are you? And he just starts really cursing Ambarish Maharaj. Oh, you're not even devotee. You fake. You're a false devotee. He started telling like this, actually. I'm just giving a little bit of urban translation. But this is what he was telling. This because he took a little Charnamrita. He said, you fake. You're a false devotee. You cheating everyone. Like this. Yes.
Also want to break this fast.
Maybe he wasn't following Akashi. It's not mentioned, but you know that would be even an extra element. He broke his fast peacefully, but then gets upset that I don't remember reading that in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a very interesting question, also. But Ambarish Maharaj was following a year of vrata, so maybe there are some specific rules. So he said, "For this, I curse you to die." He pulled off some loose. Can you imagine? I mean, it's like, imagine a body just rip off his little sequel, throw it on the ground, and one apparition came up like a fire demon and started chasing Ambarish Maharaj. So he didn't know that the Supreme Lord had kept the chakra nearby Ambarish Maharaj, because Ambarish Maharaj was always absorbed in bhajan. So Krishna's like, he won't be so much concerned about protecting himself and so on. So chakra, you just stay nearby and keep guard. So when the apparition came to kill Devas Muni, the chakra just got up and got to work, killed the apparition, and then started chasing Devas Muni. So Devas Muni started flying nicely throughout the universe, being chased by the chakra. Now obviously, the chakra was just trying to teach him a lesson, because I always wonder how come the chakra didn't catch him. You would think he could just increase the speed a little bit. The Devas would be finished. So Devas goes to Shiva. Maybe he goes to Shiva for to protect. She was like, "Nah, can't do that. That's Lord's chakra. You on your own. Figure it out." So he goes to Brahma. Brahma also says, "Hare Krishna." Nice to know you. Finally, he goes to Narayan, the Supreme Lord, whose chakra it is. Narayan himself also says, "What can I do?" So the Devas, what can you do? It's your chakra. Like, call him back. So then the Supreme Lord begins this beautiful passage, Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, chapter 4, verse 63 through, it starts with verse 63, telling about the glories of his devotees. Aham Bhakta Paradina. So he says he is Bhakta Parad. He is controlled by his devotees. Aswam Tantra Ivaduja. I'm not even a little bit independent. He makes this point, I'm not at all independent. I'm actually under the control of my devotees. Then he makes the verse I really want to pull up is this one. 9:464. Naha atmana asha se ma bhakta sadubirvina. Shreyan chakyanti kem brahma yesham gatarahampara. That without my devotees, I do not even desire to enjoy my transcendental opulences. That means that all the opulences of the spiritual world are made meaningful to Krishna because of his devotees. And without them, even his opulence have no attraction for him. That is him. Narayan is himself directly speaking this to the Devas Muni. So Krishna is very much attached to his devotees. Later on in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna is talking about his attachment to devotees, he says that he says of the devotees that neither Brahma, Shiva, Sankarshan, Lakshmi, or even his own self is as dear to him as his devotees. So Krishna is saying, I don't even consider myself dear in relationship to my devotee. So Krishna has this way of thinking. So when the word says here, Vahami, I carry, Krishna is personally caring because of what he feels for his devotees. He feels very great attachment to them. So the meaning of this verse is that the enjoyment that devotees obtain is given by Krishna. And that also the converse is true. The suffering that devotees experience is not due to karma, but is also given by Krishna. That's why devotees say, Krishna's mercy for everything. It usually means it's called for suffering. They usually don't say Krishna's mercy for when good things happen. They don't say it as often. When they suffer and they say Prabhu, being purified. That's another code word for suffering. Being purified for Prabhu. Code word for suffering. Or Krishna's mercy. A lot of Krishna's mercy is coming today. You understand? So that is nice training for the mind. You're training to think that whatever is happening, whether it's good or bad, is coming from Krishna. So that is the meaning of this verse. So it was spoken in the context of the piety versus the piety of the pious people getting enjoyment versus the enjoyment of a devotee. That was the meaning there. Last two verses here, they're important verses. So earlier, Krishna mentioned that people who did the Jnana Yagya, right? The three types. What are the three types who do the Jnana Yagya? Who? And not those three types. In verse 15. Not those three types. A lot of three types, huh? What are the three types? They worship themselves, or they worship the various devatas, or they worship nature as God. Remember? So those persons who perform Jnana Yagya, one of the types was they worship the various devatas, but as aspects of Paramatma's vibhutis or as Brahman. They get liberation. But these guys we just heard about in 9:20 and 21, they also worship the same devas, but they're getting bondage. They're getting repeated birth and death. So why they get repeated birth and death, but those Jnana Yagya people, they get liberation? A question is coming. You understand? You understand this? It seems like disparity is there, right? These people worshiping devatas, they get liberation. These people also worshiping devatas, they get repeated birth and death. The demigods. So why they get liberation and these people get birth and death? So then that answer is coming. This is verse 23 and 24. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shadayamvita tepi mameva konteya yajanti avidipurvakam. So those who are bhaktas of other devatas, ye api anya devata bhakta, they are bhaktas of other demigods. Yajante shadayamvita, and they worship them with faith. Tepi mam eva konteya, they worship only me actually. But yajanti avidipurvakam, but they worship me. Avidipurvakam means not according to the right rules. Or the word avidipurvakam means they worship me only, but not with the rules to obtain me. You understand? Because we've already mentioned this, these devatas are only vibhutis of the Lord. So they're not different from the Lord. So in that sense, they worship God only, but they worship him without awareness that these devatas are the Lord's vibhutis. So they think of these gods as independent gods who can bestow fruits independently of the Supreme Lord. That's how they think of them. The people who perform Jnana Yagya, they were seeing them as manifestations of God only, Brahman. But these people who worship the devatas don't see them like that. They see them as independent lords who can independently bestow fruits. So although they worship only Krishna, Te Apimam means Eva, they certainly only worship me because these devatas are my vibhutis. So they are worshiping me. But Yajanti Avidipurvakam, they don't worship me with the rules to obtain me. They worship me with the rules to obtain Swargaloka, right? That's what we heard earlier. So they're getting the result of their particular form of worship. You understand? Avidipurvakam means not according to the right rule or not according to the right vidis, or here it means not according to the vidis that can get you Krishna or get the spiritual result. So they worship me only, but they don't do it with the rules to obtain me. They do it with the rules to obtain Swargaloka. So they went to Swargaloka. You understand? So he expanding on this point in 24. Do you understand this point? Aham hi sarva yagnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mama vijananti tatve ne tashchavanti te. So he says, I am the bhokta and the prabhu, sarva yagnana, of all the yagyas that are mentioned in the Vedic rites. So in these Vedic rituals, it appears that they're directed at Indra or maybe at Shiva or Ganapati, Ganesh. They look like that. But he says, actually, it is I only who am the real enjoyer of these rites, Bhokta, and Prabhu. I'm the Prabhu, the master of the rite, and the giver of the fruit of the rite. It is me only. Sarva Yagnana. Of all the yagyas, it is only I who am the Bhokta and the Prabhu. Bhokta means the enjoyer, and the Prabhu means the master, the person who's giving the result. But natu mam, tu means but, natu mam abhijananti, tatve natashchavantite. But the common man, they do not know this about me. They don't know this tattva. Yes, they don't know the tattva. So chavantite, they fall down. They don't know the tattva concerning me. They don't know how these are my vibhutis, and they don't know any of this tattva. So the result of not knowing that tattva is that they accept the wrong rules, and they get the result of those rules that they accept also in the form of repeated birth and death. Chavantite means they fall down, which means they continue in the cycle of birth and death. As Krishna has already said in 9.3 earlier in this chapter, Ashadadhana Purusha Dharmasya Panantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mritu Samsara Bhartmini. If you don't have faith in this Bhakti Dharma, then Aprapya Mam Nivartante, you do not obtain me. Mritu Samsara Bhartmini, you get birth and death. You have faith in Bhakti Dharma, so you're all right. You have faith in Bhakti Dharma? Yeah. So you're okay too. Last verse. So someone may say, that's unfair. So these people, they worship the devatas according to the rules of Shastra that govern that particular worship. And the Vaishnavas, they also worship in according to some Shastra that pertain to worship. So, everyone's following Shastra very nicely according to the particular devata. So this seems like unfair. Why do people who worship in this way, they get temporary result, they get to suffer in samsara, but these persons also following Shastra, they get an eternal result. So Krishna said, no, it's not like that. It's like this. Yanti deva vrata devam pitren yanti pitre vrata bhutani yanti bhutedra yanti mayajnam. So those who worship the devatas, they go to the devatas. Those who worship the forefathers, they go to the forefathers. Those who worship the ghosts and hobgoblins and gremlins, werewolves and vampires, all these things are very popular today. They probably worship them actually. They dress up as them, they go to these, what do they call it, like Comic Cons and all these things. It's probably a form of worship. Isn't it? So they worship all these, the witches and warlocks, and they want to be like them also. So they go to such things, and those who worship me come to me. So the idea is that it's not unfair, it's completely fair actually. You get the fruit of your worship. So they worship something temporary, so you cannot get an eternal result from doing that. So they worship something temporary, they got a temporary result. And those who worship me, because I am eternal, they get an eternal result. That is why, this is the very reason why Krishna has criticized in chapter 7 the same demigod worshippers as having little intelligence. What is that? Antavatu palam tesham tabhavati alpamedasam. You like to learn Bhagavad-gita shlokas? Really? How many shlokas you know so far? Okay, give it an approximation. It has to be right on the mark. 80. Wow, impressive. From which chapter do you know the most shlokas? You don't know? Okay, you figure out later and tell me. How old are you? 10. Very nice. How many shlokas do you know? 0. You don't even know that. You just know that first phrase. How many shlokas do you know? Jai. So, how many shlokas do you know? 0. How about you, Daniel? None. So you can learn, at least learn 80. Also, 723 Krishna said, these guys who worship the devatas, they're less intelligent. Because their demigods are temporary, so that whatever they're getting from them is temporary. Whereas if you worship me, you can get an eternal result. So, worship now the tattva concerning Krishna and worship him. This is the encouragement here. So we'll stop there. This is the passage. Are there any questions, comments?
What about those who worship in Christianity? What do they worship? Christ?
Yes, what about those who worship in Christianity?
Where do they go?
Where do they go? This is always a very common question asked to devotees. And everyone usually likes to give that universal answer. And it's all love and it's all. In my understanding, well, all I can say honestly is I don't know. That is, I think, the fair answer to give. Because I don't know who they are worshiping exactly. I don't even know if they know who they're worshiping. When you say Jesus, but that is more like just an idea in the head. There is no image of of Jesus. Of course, there was the white, blue-eyed and white guy, but that's under criticism these days. So who is God? What is the proper ritual? They don't also in Christianity, I don't even know if they believe in these things. They just say whatever's in your heart and is very vague. So because of the vagueness of their avideya, their process, so many end up living a life of full sensual enjoyment and more or less preoccupied with the material world. So according to our understanding, you probably go to the material world again. Hopefully as a human being, but who knows? Depends on how you live. Now, if you're talking about like Christian saints, like Saint Francis of Assisi or something, they seem to be like extraordinary. They exhibit a life of like full dedication to, I guess, to God, to something. But when you look at some of the writers, it seems to be a little impersonal. That, and I don't see that as a negative. It could be like the Brahmin feature of the absolute. So maybe they get some type of liberation. But that is all conjecture. I think the honest answer can say is we don't know. The Gaudiya stance is actually anything outside the Vedas is bogus, basically. And we all say exactly like that, but basically, if it's outside the Vedic canon, it is considered unauthorized. So there cannot be any conclusive understanding given. That obviously doesn't sit, such an answer would not sit well with our egalitarian landscape where everything is deemed to be like equal and ultimately pointing us in the same direction and all that. But generally, if you read Jiva Goswami's Sandarbha, the first one, Tattva Sandarbha, his point is very simple. If it's outside the Vedas, then it's considered unauthorized. So at best, we can say we don't know what they obtain, if they obtain anything at all. That is a fair answer to give. We cannot just start speaking on behalf of these traditions and say they get this, they get that. We don't know. We're not Christian theologians and all that. But as far as what we say, if it's outside the Vedas, then it is likely that they're not getting, we're definitely not getting Brahmin liberation or anything like that. So that is probably not a very satisfying answer, but I like it. Just chase. Yes.
There's a different types is worshipper of nature. What's the difference between like nature and the demigods? The nature is
Yeah, the nature means they worship other vibhutis. So demigods are one type of vibhuti. And these guys, so then in 4 verses, 16 through 19, Krishna is like, I am the ghee, I am, the mother, the father, I am time. So it basically means like all aspects of existence are seen as a manifestation of Brahman. Whereas these other persons, they kind of zoom in on the demigods and just focus on that. That seems to maybe be the distinction there. No.
They made me come up here, I have to tell you.
Okay.
So now that I'm here, unauthorized.
Yeah.
I find that such a strange concept.
Yes.
Authorized by whom?
By God. So basically, for followers of basically in India, you have, we can call them like the orthodox schools of thought, and heterodox is 2 divisions. So the orthodox schools of thought, they all accept the Vedas. The Vedas are particular sacred literature as coming from some superhuman source. Most of those schools think that superhuman source is God himself. The Vedas have no origin as can be discovered so far. Many scholars have been debating about it for many, many years. So basically, the Vedas are accepted as directly coming from God. They're perfect. And there was a way that they were passed down and what is called as a disciple succession from generation to generation. So this is called as authorized. Authorized means it is coming from God and it is passing through a chain of enlightened masters to disciples, generation after generation. So you can like trace out, the way of thinking and so on from then to now. So this is called as authorized. So unauthorized means some literature that has suddenly appeared and in time, some 2,000 years ago, some 1,400 years ago, some 500 years ago, and so on. Suddenly some scripture has made some appearance. And it is not passed down through any chain of enlightened masters to disciples. It's like a huge break between then and now. Many people have suddenly come in and make some comment about it. So all of this is called as unauthorized. And that's how we use this sort of language. So the Bible, for example, or the Quran, for example, has suddenly come up just a couple thousand years ago. And they had no chain to ensure its proper dissemination generation after generation. So we know that, I guess now we know this, it's been tampered with a lot, Bibles particularly. It's been tampered, Quran also has been tampered with a lot, changed in many different ways, people making their own different comments and so on. So we basically say this is unauthorized, like this. This is how in this school of thought they think like this. Not authorized. So we don't want to dismiss people as being insincere or not genuine, but we say unauthorized. And by looking at the knowledge that is offered in each of these literatures, you can see for yourself. So you don't have to take our word for it. We're just putting, what to be seen as superior to some group or something. That is petty. Ain't nobody got time for that. You look at the knowledge itself side by side and see which one is speaking deeply. You see for yourself. Anyone is allowed to do that exercise. Many times we are intellectually lazy, so we just like to assume that everyone is saying the same thing. All religions are teaching it, all paths are teaching the same thing, they all lead to the same location. This is called intellectual laziness. Because you have not looked at all paths. So how do you know? Have you looked at all paths? You studied Buddhism, you studied Bible, Quran, a little, probably forced, right? Where you from? You born in. So you have not studied all these things. And then you will say, well, they all teach love. How do you know they teach love? You study? I looked at one of those books, we're not going to put no name, but they talking about chopping heads and everything. I'm like, that don't sound like love to me at all. They talking about stoning people and chopping heads and killing. I'm just like, my definition of love is a little bit different. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the word love. Going to hell forever for being a disbeliever. I'm like, that don't really sound like love. I guess from a different angle. So you can study yourself. Don't be intellectually lazy and say all are teaching. That's why I said it's probably more fair to say I don't know. That is more intellectually honest. I have not studied, so I cannot say. But as far as our standard of understanding is concerned, if it's outside the Vedas, we say it is unauthorized. So I cannot make any more comment than that about that particular tradition specifically. That is intellect. That is honest. But it's just well, how you say you're authorized, but then those people say they're authorized, and that one also says authorized, and and it gets very confusing. Everyone is saying that we're the real guy and the other guys are bogus. So I said, yeah, true. So you do your own experiment. You look at this knowledge, you look at that knowledge, you juxtapose it, you can study. Obviously, the person who is interested in truth has to do a lot of hard work. People think like nowadays it's so popular to be a seeker. I'm a seeker. I'm like, did you find anything yet? You're just going seeking. You should find something also, isn't it? Prabhupada said that right away. It was my own comment. So it's very popular to be a seeker. But along with being a seeker, if you're looking for anything that is true, a lot of hard work has to go into that, right? You study something deeply. What is it saying? You have to put so many doubts before it and so on. So you don't have to take my word for it, but I say, well, this is unauthorized. That just seems like sectarian nonsense that we're accustomed to hearing in the world today. We got the real thing. Those other guys don't have the real thing. It sounds like sectarian. Crazy talk. So we said, no, you can do your own research also. You see for yourself. You put Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam next to Bible, next to Quran, next to the Talmud, and you see which one is sounding nice. If you put the Vedas next to the Quran, Bible, Talmud, they all sound similar actually. Because the Vedas got some crazy stuff up in there too. FYI. The Vedas got some crazy stuff in there that is like unbelievable. But this Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. Amala means without any of that crazy stuff that you encounter in the Vedas. That's why it's called Amala. Mala means contamination, tincture. Amala means without that. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is so dear to the Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas have very soft hearts. They don't like to hear that crazy stuff. You know, if you make this mistake, you have to drink hot ghee until you die. It's like, I forget, like, give a cow in charity to the wrong person, drink hot ghee until you die. Like, really? This is very confusing. So Bhagavatam doesn't have that crazy talk. So you put Bhagavatam or Gita next to all these things, and you can see for yourself which one is speaking nicely. Don't take my word for it. But if you're just asking us how we think about it, so this is the answer. It's like this. If it is outside the Vedas, we say it is unauthorized. Our thinking is like that. Yeah. Any other comment, question? No. Any reflection? One thing, no. No, that is not a question. That is a command.
Question for people doing, we call it
Mixed bhakti.
So they're getting 4 different levels of something. So there.
Yes, they get liberation. And it's the 4 types are there. There are 4 types.
So the 4th one was they achieved.
There's no particular order. So which one are you thinking of?
The last one that you mentioned.
Sharshti. Sharshti means they get the same opulence as Bhagavan.
Yeah.
Some of the same powers.
Previous to that was the
same association.
What's the difference between those and the ultimate, the difference between that and then the ultimate goal? Because they're doing mixed bhakti, it doesn't seem right.
Yes. I have to do a little research on this one, but from what I understand right now, from all the different literatures I've seen on it, there are entities in the spiritual reality that exist there without closeness to Bhagavan. Means that they're not directly serving him. They have love for God also, but they're more interested in opulences, sukha, aishwarya. We'll encounter this specifically in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So it seems that you can exist in the spiritual realm without closeness to Bhagavan. So that is a type. Those are Vaikuntha liberations. So you also have these verses that those pure devotees of God, they don't want any of these liberations if it is without service to you. That means that those liberations can be there without service to Bhagavan also. So apparently they're existing in those realms without closeness to Bhagavan. Whereas those who are pure devotees, they want always service to Bhagavan. Closeness with service to the Lord. So that seems to be the distinction there, which is a little fascinating. We don't hear so much about those guys. Maybe because they don't want us to get attracted to that. And nourish our demonic mentality. So that is a difference. Abai, what did you hear today? One thing. This is the last time. Time is up.
I guess it's very interesting how there's all these religions and stuff, and everyone sticks to their beliefs pretty strongly.
Yes.
It's kind of bizarre, some of them.
Yes.
And you would think that everyone just naturally comes towards that and believe, put it out like it's the most appealing.
Yes.
But for some reason, I guess they just stick to it.
Yes. Yes. Every religion thinks that their thing is most appealing, right? But everyone sticks to their thing only. They don't come to the other thing, isn't it? So that is because we are conditioned in different ways. Just like, for example, if someone is conditioned by rock and roll music, So they come to our group and they see like one of our morning kirtans where we're like rocking out, acting crazy and feeling like, yes, this is the real thing. Not because they're appreciating exactly holy day or everything like that, because it looks like rock and roll. So anything that looks like rock and roll, they'll be appealed. They will find it to be appealing. So basically, according to your own conditioning, you find things to be attractive or unattractive. Therefore, we advise people to make sure that they build their faith on what the sacred text says, not just what they're attracted or not attracted to exclusively. They should build it on the strength of sacred text. So it's hard. Otherwise, you're only building on this part. I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like that. And in that way, you become the guru, the reference point for what is true and what is not true. So we advise like this. Build faith on the strength of what you hear from sacred texts. Yeah, you have to have special mercy also to be attracted to anything transcendent, because we don't have any qualification for transcendence, because it's beyond sensual perception and so on. We only have qualification for things that are within the empirical world. So it is natural that anything that is transcendental, it has to really be given, because we have no other way to connect with it. Okay. So there's a questionnaire for this chapter 9 also. You should work on it. I've given it already twice. So you don't have. Did I even give to you last class? Okay. I'll give it to you. Hariam Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Hari Hari.